How's everybody doing? A warm hello and a heartfelt thank you. Thanks for hanging out here with me. Thanks for spending a little bit of time. I'm, of course, Big Cheds. You know, Big Cheds on Twitter, YouTube at Cheds Trading, part of the quick market update series. I like to go maybe 20, 30 minutes. As long as you folks have questions, I'm just here to hang out with you and try to add a little bit of value. I have studied TA, technical analysis, professionally. I try to teach it mostly for free. I've got a lot of great stuff on my YouTube. I've just published my 4th book, The Trading Journal. I'm really super excited about that. You might have heard about that. I've been talking about it a lot on Twitter, of course. It's available now on Amazon Kindle hardcover and paperback. Go ahead and check out the sample, and you can see, you know, what it's all about. This is a Kindle version. You can see, you know, the table of contents, why I should use a journal, how to fill one out. And I've got a whole bunch of like trading techniques. It's kind of basically Trading Wisdom Part 2. And I'm super proud of this book. So one of someone I follow, Trader XO, had put out a tweet, and something like 60% of people have never used a journal, which is crazy. So it's something you want to consider checking out. The rest of my books, I'm trying to make them free. Trading Quotes, I've got a free version. Trading Wisdom, my battles with cancer. It's all on Amazon. We'll do, of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. I want to take your requests, your comments, your feedback today, and we'll see where the stream goes. I don't really have an agenda. The market, to me, is a little bit boring. Nothing's going on. We're still just kind of sitting here waiting in between the two ranges. In between where we broke down last time, the recent breakdown and the prior range, and we're just consolidating in between. And we're sitting here, looking at this kind of like, low volatility 4-hour environment. And, is it a throwback or not? Is it holding or not? And so there's not too much going on with Bitcoin. I really just think this is a moment where you want to do nothing and let this story play out. I remain on the camp that the implications of the structural breakdown are pretty severe, and it's more likely than not we're going to head to the prior range, 72 to 74. That's still all the case. Let's see. And get your questions ready, folks. I want to hear from you. Let me know how you're doing, where you're from, anything that's on your mind, and we'll go from there. I'm just here to hang out with you. Ethereum, not much. A little bit of excitement, and back above 2K, below 2K. 2K isn't really the level that I'm watching. It's going to be right around 2150. Again, viewing that as a pretty major high time frame loss, failing to hold around 2100, 2150. A bounce into this level will be an underside test. You can look to take a short on the underside until proven otherwise, until it can regain that level. Ethereum's weak to Bitcoin. No suggestion that's going to change. And Solana's pretty weak to me. It's maybe going to hold at 120, but it's in the danger zone after the weekly breakdown, losing the MA50, unable to hold 215, 185, 160. So that's kind of that's the long and the short of it. I don't have a ton to talk about, but I want to just check in with you folks and see how you're doing. Oh, by the way, of course, Bitcoin Live. I do a twice a week full market report every Wednesday and Sunday night with the best team in the world that studies crypto. I've been doing that. I haven't missed a report in like 7 years. So I'd encourage you folks to check that out. So folks, let me know what's going on. Shoot out a question, a comment. And this stream will just go on as long as you folks, you have stuff you want to talk about. I don't have like a big agenda today. I want to talk about my book a little bit. I already did that. So we'll kind of go from there, and we'll see if the room builds up. There's only 50 of you right now, which is fine. But we'll go from there. What's up? While driving in Indonesia, says Lile. Yeah, drive safe, man. Don't look too close, right? When you're driving. With YouTube or whatever, you can listen to stuff, but be very careful. Sideways price in markets is annoying. I agree. Polish Bitcoin's very annoying. Can you check Plume? I've never heard of this one. And greetings from Belgium. Sure, Timothy. Yeah, folks, I can take a look at a couple requests for you if you'd like. Plume, is that okay, I don't think I've heard of this one. So it's got a cool name. I mean, there's not a ton of history. Maybe we can look somewhere else. And it's hard for me to analyze something that doesn't have history. It doesn't have a trend to analyze, right? So if we look here, there's nothing I can do. I can really tell you about Plume. There's no chart, in my opinion. really only been around since, since January. There's no chart here. There's nothing I can tell you. We don't really have any moving averages. There's no real support or resistance. So there's nothing I can say to add, unfortunately, to add any value about Plume. So if you folks have other requests, go ahead and fire them up. I can just kind of look around the market while we're waiting. I mean, BNB is interesting to me, and BNB has always been an indicator of kind of market health and altcoin market health, right? So when BNB does well, generally alts are doing well, and the market's strong. And so I'd like to see BNB rally here. And I was kind of looking at this 4-hour action, kind of an inverted head and shoulders with a truncated right shoulder here. But you've got a clear pivot level. It gets pushing up towards it. So this looks like it wants to go. I was, tweeted out that it looks perky, and it does look perky. So I'd like to see a little bit of follow through on that. And that would be a good sign if BNB can get back up here. Amar says, love from Jordan. Love to you. What's up, Amar? What is up, Cliff? And so let's take a look. Cliff says, good morning. Good morning to you. Thoughts on XRP? I like the chart. It's one of the better looking charts. It held nicely at $2. On my Bitcoin Live report on Wednesday, I talked about how I wasn't convinced using 250 as a trigger level because it's kind of choppy here in the middle of the range. And it's sloppy or choppy structure here. So you want to see it above 250, but it's not that important a level. Really, just $2 is an important level. And so we'll clean it up a little bit. We'll just kind of redraw that range low that the price is respected and it has bounced from. So you can continue to watch that. I think it's hard to draw kind of a mid-channel level. So 250 is more of just a general guideline, but I don't know that you want to overanalyze it. So I like the chart. Give it some time. It's consolidating. It doesn't look like it's ready to just, shoot straight up. But even just looking here, you can see the OBV is strong, right? You can just see the OBV is going to be strong with a nice volume on the green candles. Nice response on this you can call it a hammer if you want, long lower shadow candle. It's a nice response in these green candles. It's nice. It's a nice uptrend, rising MA200. I like the chart. Give it a little bit of time. Let it consolidate. Baja says, Sui, sure. Take a look at Sui. So this had been one of the better looking charts for quite a while. Really, from November until January for just a couple months. Not that long, but you started to see weakness here. You started to see weakness with losing the MA50. And that's one thing we're watching on the weekly chart for Bitcoin. We're not quite there. But if you remember back in 2021, we started to lose the weekly MA50. And that was threatening a rollover. That was an early sign of the rollover. And we talked a lot about the failed breakout of 46K. In any case, with the daily time frame here on SUI, you can see the strength of the trend and holding the MA50. And see how well it's stuck. It was sticky to the MA50 until it started to lose it. And we've been rolling over and consolidating ever since then. There's been a number of points in the chart which have been logical for continuation that failed to hold, right? Right around, $4 level, even around like 315, 320. And we're just seeing a very clearly defined descending supply trend, which you would just call a trend line. It's a descending trend of sellers. And so it needs to hold it too, but it's really had a big unwind. We're back below the MA200. And we'll kind of look at this in the weekly chart. So the weekly chart's not bad, and this is a pretty clear stair-step target or throwback target. Would be at $2. But if it doesn't hold here, I think you have to really wonder what it's doing. Is it going to drop all the way to 60, 70 cents? It should have held it a bunch of times along the way. This is kind of the last one that really needs to hold. So I would keep a laser focus on $2. By the way, if any of you have already purchased the book or you're reading the book, The Trading Journal, let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback. I get the first rating, no reviews yet. I really just love the reviews. I think it's a great book. I'm super proud of it. And so I'm just really looking forward to getting that feedback, from you folks. Let me check in with the chat room. Great to see everybody today. I do these streams by the way, I do these streams every Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. I'll occasionally skip one if something's going on, but you can generally count on that. If you just come and say hi, and you get a good chance to talk to me. I finally made it from Australia. What's up, Inca? Pretty big time difference. Yeah. I hope you're doing well over there in Australia. JJ Man says, they say usually you have multiple opportunities to buy the bottom. This is true. Do you think the same when we bottom this time? Well, if you're referring to Bitcoin, probably, yeah. So I have a tweet in my trading quotes book, which it's a third book, and it's like bottoms are usually slow to form, and they'll give you multiple bites at the apple. It's generally quite true. So, even like Bitcoin, we can kind of look at the last Bitcoin bottom, right? And will Bitcoin give you multiple bites at the apple? And did it give you multiple bites at the apple? Okay. I think it did. If you examine the structure in Bitcoin, we kept dropping. And what you want to do when you're in this situation, we'll kind of do it this way so we don't really see what has happened yet, right? When you're in this situation, you want to draw like failed resistance, or you want to draw like lost support levels. You can use those as recapture levels. Down here locally, we had a pretty well-defined support range right around 1920K. So when you lose this, you can already say, all right, I'm ready to take a long on a recapture of this level. I actually got stopped out of a long right here on this day, and I live tweeted it. Right there, I got stopped out on a long at like 18.5. Roughly, I think I used like 18K as my long trigger, right? I used like 18K because I was looking for the bottom and I felt like it was close. And I had already observed like a sentiment bottom, so it's interesting. You started to see sentiment really bottomed here, and I tweeted about that. I got stopped here in a long, but getting stopped here, for me, told me, okay, this level's now even more important, right? The fact that it bounced here and rejected, I've now have a well-defined lost support, kind of like confirmed with the rejection here from the upside. So it makes this level more important, such that if you remember, I tweeted out like, hey, let's go long. It's time to go long 18.5. So you had multiple bites of the apple here. You had a chance to observe the bottom forming. You take the long here at 18.5. You didn't have to get in at 18.5. You could have taken a stab down here a little bit early, but if you got in, great. You could have taken longs on the break here of 20K. Maybe you got stopped out here, maybe not. You could have taken longs on the break here, of 25K. So you had chances to get long in the bottoming range on recaptured levels. So the question was, which is a good question, is they say, bottoms usually take time to form. Very much true. That is usually the case. So usually you will get multiple bites of the apple. You're usually going to get multiple chances to go long. So let's see. Good morning, Cheds. Watching from a train between London and Cambridge. That's awesome, man. I think we need better trains over here in the US of A. I'm thinking about a Europe trip in a couple years, and I'm going to check out your trains, perhaps. Chart on Hype. It's hard to really do a chart on something like Hype. There's such limited price history, but I'll take a little crack at it. I don't know. There's a problem with this. I mean, what are you going to do? There's no chart here. People are doing TA on it. I'm a little bit skeptical, but you don't have that much history really here at all. I mean, here's a little bit longer in Qcoin. It's just a bad chart. It's weak, kind of bear flagging here. I would avoid this chart. I mean, there's just nothing redeeming about it for me. Oh, you say it's testing this support, but there's no volume transacted at this level. Doesn't really have structure here. Doesn't really have anything going on. Almost kind of like a mercy bounce, bear flag forming, likely roll over. Just a bad chart. I understand there's quote unquote hype. I understand there's fundamental reasons. I don't even look at the fundamentals or care. I don't know what hype does. I hear people talk about it a lot. It doesn't really mean anything to me. But there's no real chart here. And from what you can see of the chart, it's bad. It's kind of telling you to be careful and to avoid it, in my opinion. All right. Can you do Alchemy Pay? I've never heard of that one. Sure. Let's take a look. It's called ACH. Isn't that like the payment thing? ACH. All right. All right. I haven't heard of this chart before. So it's good. I like to look at a chart that I've never heard of but has price history. I can kind of take a look. Not so much going on. Just look at the MA200, kind of a flat MA200. I will say what is interesting to me is this volume that has appeared after this, period or time of inactivity. When I see something like this and I want to get a better view, I'm going to drop out to a weekly time frame. I'm going to step back out and take a look. And I see, okay, this is a pretty grinding sideways chart. There isn't too much going on, but you've got a longer time frame range peak, and you have a very gently developing rising demand structure. So here's your low, your next low, your higher low. You can draw it. You can just see it visually. So everything that's within that range. There's not much to do here from a trading standpoint because it's a sideways chart. If you want to go long in something, you'd like a nice strong uptrend that just dipped. If you want to take a short in something, you want, really strong downtrend that just ripped. And we don't really have much of anything here going on. So it's grinding sideways in this range. I give a minor edge to bulls, but there's not much to do with it from a trading standpoint. You don't have any clearly defined levels here. Now just sit and watch it. I don't love it. I don't hate it though, for sure. Let me check out the rest of the chat room, see how everybody is doing. Juice Master. I first came across you with Ivan on Tech. Nice. Thank you. I reached out to Ivan. I want to stream with him again, talk about my book. How many years do you need to analyze a chart with history? You need at least, like a daily chart, you need at least 200 days. So you get a simple moving average in MA 200. I think that'd be like a very minimum level. Ideally, you want more than that. I'd say at least a year would be ideal. And even then, it's still kind of a new chart. So it's one of those things where the more price history you have, the more you can use technical analysis. And using TA to define your risk by looking at price levels that where the price is said, these are clear momentum levels, are clearly defined. You've got a history. You can do something. You can manage your risk. Let's see. I picked up Trading Journal at the Kindle Scribe. That format works well. Thank you, Samir. I appreciate that. I appreciate your feedback. Let me know what you think about the book. Like, it's not just the Trading Journal. It's got tips for emotional management, good trader habits. It's Trading Wisdom Part 2. So I'm really just pretty eager for the feedback. Just about to purchase the new book. Read Trading Wisdom again last week. Thank you, Jimmy. Trading Wisdom. I did a couple revisions of this over the last few years. Trading Wisdom. Once I published it, once I did Trading Quotes, I went back and actually kind of rewrote Trading Wisdom. So it's like version 3 of it. I modernized it, fixed a couple typos. I just cleaned it up because the more you write with anything, the more you write, the better you get. So I'm super proud of Trading Wisdom, of course. Thanks for the stream to the knowledge. You're welcome, John. Appreciate you. And he says, congrats on the book release. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you, folks. Not a huge room today, but that's okay. I'm going to try to keep doing these just for fun. I want to do as much free content as possible. So that's what these YouTubes are about. Since you said you're thinking of tops in 2026, I'll most likely dollar cost average out, but appreciate any advice for exit strategy in Bitcoin. Well, it's hard to look at it that way in between ranges. I think you would have wanted to start to trim maybe around just sub 90K. We're in a kind of a no man's land in between ranges here. And the problem with dollar cost averaging out here is it's still a really nice weekly trend. We're still above a rising MA50. We're still above the prior structure. So I would be careful. I don't know that I would even, recommend that per se. So that's a tough one because I think you would have had to do that a little bit higher, maybe on the initial break of like 90K, or even on the, underside and retest rejection of 94.5. Oh, thank you for the review, Indy. You left a review extensive. Oh, I can't wait to hear it, Indy. That's awesome. Indy, let us know what you thought of the book. You read the whole thing already? That's awesome, man. He said, Trading Journal so handy. Thanks, brother. Yeah, I want it to be a book where I want it to be a book where people use it kind of over and over again. I mean, I'm teaching you why to use a journal, how to set it up, and I give like trade tech. It's kind of a how-to book for trading. Here's some techniques. Here's when the technique fails. And what I thought was really cool about the Trading Journals, I have like, I think 16 or 17 sample Trading Journal entries where I fill out like oh, I'm really excited here, and here's what I think, and here's what worked, here's what didn't work, and I try to make it very relatable. And I try to make it so like when people read the book, they're like, wow, I've done that, and I get that, and I've been through that. So, greetings from UK. Thank you, Annie Crystal. Let me just check out the chat room and see everybody. Hey, Cheds, I appreciate your time. How did you learn to read the chart instantly? How long did it take? For example, seeing the OBV without opening it. That took me several years, many years. But it's funny. It's like if I could have taught myself some of these tricks, it would have saved me several years. It took me many years. It took me many broken accounts, failed accounts. I had to read a lot of textbooks, and I write about this, of course, in all my books and, in all my work. I've talked about it. You have to build up muscle memory, and one of the things you should do is just keep practicing every day. Textbooks help a lot. One thing you want to do, I think maybe even just take 15 charts and study those 15 charts. Don't bounce around too much. So it will help to learn. It will help to learn a certain set of charts. I will say my Masterclass playlist will save you years. This tutorial playlist will save you years of struggling. So that's going to help you a lot. It took me a long time. I've been trading for more than 20 years now, and I've been teaching trading for more than 10 years now. So it just takes a lot of time and practice, but you'll get there if you do things like manage your risk. Right? You can't learn without making mistakes, and you need to learn from those mistakes. So they can't be big errors. They can't be huge, blowing up your account, type of errors. So you want to have smaller positions where you're managing your risk, and every time you're risking money, it needs to be with a really well-defined trading idea, right? So I think that's how you want to approach it. Arjit says, I found you 2021. This is funny. I found you in 2021 after, and I thought you were a retard. Hopefully I didn't get censored for that, for telling us to be bearish when the price was above 60K. And after following you for years, I'm glad I found you. You're a great teacher. Thank you, man. I took a lot of heat, honestly, back in 2021, for basically saying like, this is really bad. We're starting to roll over. This is bad, folks. And I walked everybody through it, from the time there when it happened. Now, originally in my thesis, even though I called top, right on the day here, I got really lucky because I started to see what was going on, but I got really lucky. But I thought it was a temporary top. I actually thought we were going to form an ascending triangle back in 2021. So my original case was for a local top and not a cycle top, and it just played out. But I was thinking, price will likely continue with the trend. It's an ascending triangle. But once we started to lose the MA50, and then especially really confirming that was after we had that failed breakout. I talk about this in the Masterclass playlist, of course. After we had the failed breakout, of 46K here, where we tried to rally, like this is when I right here. This is when I put out the tweet and said like we're going to 12K. When we're at like 45K, we went to like 15. We got pretty close, but this was like this is bad. This is bad. It was after the momentum rolled over. I definitely took a lot of heat. But, I'm not always going to be right. I'll make some really bad calls, from time to time. But I'm just kind of telling you what I think based on how I read the chart. I've been clear that losing 90K was a big problem for the trend. Up here, it really should have held. And I still think it's more likely than not we're headed to 72K. I'll put it that way. So we're just kind of waiting in between. I'm not ready to call cycle top, whatever that means, or overall top or whatever that means. But there's definitely been a loss of momentum, and I think that's something we want to be careful about. So folks, great comments here in the chat room. I'm gonna wrap it up. It's been a nice little time. I'll do one more request. Somebody asked about Doge, the Doge father. Let's take a look. I know it's been weak. Yeah, I don't like this chart. I would avoid it. There's no real momentum. It really, really should have held up here. It should have held at 36. Should have held at 30 cents. It should have held at 20. I don't think you want to mess around with these weak momentum charts. Whiff and dog with hat. Well, it's the same one, but dog with hat and Doge or whatever. Especially if Bitcoin does another leg down, you're just going to want to only play strong charts. Don't be sentimental. Don't get emotional. Don't play stuff that you think is good and has good tech. Like none of that. Most of the time that doesn't really matter for the price. It's a funny thing, and it's a lesson you have to learn. This is just a bad chart now. There's no real momentum. Should it recapture maybe 23, 24 cents, you can take a look at it. But I would pretty much just avoid the Doge chart for now. I don't like it. This part of quick market update series, of course, on my YouTube channel. I've got my 4th book just came out, The Trading Journal, Trading Wisdom Part 2. Super happy. I love publishing books. I'm actually now working on my 5th book, which is a poker player's guide to trading, and I already have the outline. I checked my computer and I actually wrote up a pretty good outline, like a draft outline from late 2022. So it's fun to kind of dust off that old plan. But in the meantime, a brand new book, Trading Journal. Now that that's out, I'm making my other books free. I've been working on a Trading Quotes free version. I need to record some more chapters there. Of course, Battles with Cancer's entire book is free. Trading Wisdom, 1/3 of it's free. These are all on Amazon. These are all on audiobook. You must watch the Masterclass tutorials. It will save you years of struggling while you are trading. Of course, Bitcoin Live, twice a week, full market report with the best team in the world that studies crypto. We talked about Bitcoin. We talked about it being in between ranges, the major range above and the major range below, a little bit of a 4-hour action attempting to stair step. We shall see kind of a choppy sideways range amidst a falling 4H MA200. And you see every time it's reached this area, it's been sent back. And you kind of see even the RSI's topped off a little bit, it's been getting a little bit hot. OBV is pretty weak. So there's not a lot that's getting me super excited here. I'm going to need to see a recapture all the way up of 94.5 to have any kind of confidence that this is going to continue with the weekly trend. And until that happens, and if and when until that happens, I think we're pretty much squarely on path for like a 72K book, 72K test. And Tim says, as a poker player, I can't wait for the new one. Yeah, that's going to be a fun book. And I told my wife, I'm going to have to do a lot of research for my next book. That means I'm going to have to play a lot of poker. So hopefully she doesn't mind. General questions, use fib numbers. I do not use Fibonacci numbers. Elliott wave traders use it quite a bit. I can just kind of visually see like 50% or whatever it is, 67, 68% move, 133% retracement. I don't really use fibs. You can kind of generally see it. You get a muscle memory. You get an idea, just kind of looking at the chart. You just get an idea of of measured moves based on the height, of the range. And you just kind of see like if it's a bull flag, you don't want to go more than, basically half of the range of the, of the flagpole. You just kind of visually see stuff. You get a sense of it over time. So I just don't use fibs. But anyway, folks, thanks for hanging out. I will try to do another stream tomorrow. Let's say like around 2 o'clock Eastern here at the U.S. But since then, be kind to yourself, love others. Stay patient. Don't overtrade. I would not overtrade in this environment. Let things settle out. And we'll wait till we get a little bit more clarity. So, folks, thank you so much. I hope you will consider checking out my book, my new book, my 4th book, The Trading Journal. It's on Amazon now, Kindle hardcover and paperback. I'll eventually do an audiobook. It'll take me a few months to do that. So, folks, thank you so much. I hope to hear some feedback from you, and we will talk soon. Big Cheds out. Peace out, everybody. Be well.